page 37 of 723 from volume 1. This is Mr. Schiff saying this. I had pushed for evidence. Have you got the evidence? The evidence of voter fraud. I remember, I don't know if it was just an off-the-cuff comment or what, but he, blank, said something like, we don't have the evidence, but we have lots of theories. And in retrospect, I think at least he said that right, you know? It was something that he had said, and we later all looked at each other and said, did he really just say that? Yes, he did. Volume 1 has 723 pages. A lot of them are blank because they're still sealed. Okay, so this interview is from Tuesday, May 17th, 2022. You don't think you weighed in about whether or not he should say that he had won the election? No, I wouldn't have said that. Okay, what would you have said? I would have told him the truth, which I always did, which was at the time, hey, like, this still looks really good. Like, I don't know where this is going to come out tomorrow, and I gave him the update that I just gave you. Georgia, we had a lead. Pennsylvania, there was still way too many ballots outstanding. I thought they called Arizona wrong. There were issues with the absentee ballots in Wisconsin that we needed to deal with and would deal with. So it was still open. It was an open question. Okay, open question as to the outcome. Response. What I would have said is, I don't think this thing is over by a long shot. I would have said that to him, something along those lines. I don't remember the specific words that I used, but that's what I would have said. Did anyone else advocate for a different position than what would be the natural implication of what you just said, which is that, like you just told us, that it's not over by a long shot yet? Were there other voices advocating that it was over? Response, I don't remember that. Okay, so from 131 to 159, the pages are sealed. So this is a different interview on Monday, November 28th, 2022. Present that day, Representatives Schiff, Lofgren, and Raskin. That conversation you just recounted in the wee hours of November 4th was that before the president publicly went out and gave his election night, I guess, next morning speech. Okay, so this guy's saying, I thought he would win Pennsylvania based on the 700,000 plus margin he had at that moment, and he just felt he wouldn't. He was skeptical, meaning he might lose Pennsylvania. Response, yes, and other states. I was asking the Fox hosts what was going on. What do you see? Because nobody else called it. That was for Arizona. When they called Arizona, Fox and the AP called Arizona for Donald Trump, and the others hadn't. Days later had not. This doesn't make sense. Arizona was called for Biden by Fox News in 2020. So that's just weird. Page 162 to 165 are sealed. This is a different interview. A White House employee, Friday, June 10th, 2022, in Washington, D.C. Seems like you have a memory of this. It's just, sometimes I just don't know how to deal with my emotions, but I just remember him coming back in, and this is me telling him about his speech was cut off because he asked me, did I get it all on TV? And this is me explaining to him that it was cut off there close at the end and what was happening, and that's pretty much the face I got the whole time. And it was kind of like he told me, really? And I was like, yes, sir. And you were telling him the speech was cut off at the end. Do you know why it was cut off? Response, because it jumped to what was happening down at the Capitol. Question, so when the president came back in this moment, this is timestamped 121, you were telling him that his speech was cut off and the recording because the coverage jumped to what was happening at the Capitol. Yes, sir. What was his reaction to that when he found out? Did he ask any questions, like what's going on at the Capitol? I don't know the direct quotes. I can just pretty much, sir, they cut it off because they're rioting down at the Capitol. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, it's like they're rioting down there at the Capitol. And he was like, oh, really? And then he was like, all right, let's go see. And then we walked back to the back. I'm taking off his outer coat he's wearing right now. I get the TV ready for him, hand him over the remote. He starts watching it. I stepped out to get him a Diet Coke. When you said you walked to the back, did you know you mean walk to the Oval Dining Room? Correct. Is that where the president set up for the afternoon, where he stationed himself? Response, typically that's a lot of times he's in that back dining room a lot. So you set up the TV. Did you set it up for him to watch his speech or watch live coverage of what was happening? I have it usually set to the beginning of his speech. Do you know whether in fact that's what he started watching? Or was he watching the events at the Capitol? That's it. This moves on to another interview after that, for May 31st, 2022. Present Representative Schiff. I had to move out of my house because the FBI said it wasn't safe. Strangers came to my home the week of January 6th. One person told me I had 48 hours to give them some sort of statement to avoid going to jail, to admit to something I never did. They tried to force their way into my mom's house to do a citizen's arrest on blank and me. Friends and members of my community were afraid to even be associated with me because they didn't want to get caught up in the harassment. There's nowhere I feel safe. Nowhere. Do you know how it feels to have the President of the United States to target you? The President of the United States is supposed to represent every American, not to target one, but he targeted me, blank, a small business owner, a mother, a proud American citizen who stood up to help Fulton County run an election in the middle of the pandemic. He said my name 18 times, 18 times, 18 times to the Georgia Secretary of State, accusing me of election fraud. The President of the United States made up lies about two ordinary Americans for his own personal gain. Then he and his allies, he, blank, and those in the media who repeat whatever they say, spoon-fed us as enemies and villains to their mob. They said we were like drug dealers passing out ballots, targeted American election workers as a prop in the big lie. And lo and behold, when someone as powerful as the President of the United States eggs on a mob, that mob will come. They came for us with their cruelty, their threats, their racism, and their hats. They haven't stopped even today. Number 45 and his crew have destroyed our lives, so I won't call number 45 by his name. He and his allies took my name, so I won't utter his. This isn't political for me. This is about truth and decency. I'm here today for more than myself and my daughter. I hope that by me telling my story, that you all can, and that's where it ends. The next page is sealed. This is another interview, Wednesday, May 18th, 2022. Present Representatives Aguilar and Cheney. Do you recall anyone suggesting that he should declare victory or say that the election was stolen? Not at that point until we went downstairs, but not up in the residence. Okay. So Liz Cheney, I guess, and the president, the first lady, a couple of the kids, and an agent, and then the rest of the people, which again was probably 15 people, all ran down the stairs to get to the green room. By the time I made it to the green room, he was once again surrounded. By now you've got blank, blank was in there, blank was in there. There were more people in there adding their 10 cents. Question, people that had not been upstairs but were now in the green room? That is correct. How about blank? Was he either place? Response, he was in that I saw. He was definitely in the green room. I don't remember seeing him in the residence. Do you remember him giving the president any advice about what he should say? No. And in fact, it's interesting because the one person who was the loudest was blank, and he kept saying very loudly, you go out there and tell them it was stolen. Go out there and say it was stolen. Did others agree with blank in your observation when he said that to the president? Answer, no. At that time, blank and even blank, and I believe blank and blank, also blank and blank, were all like, whoa, 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 just let's go out and say there's still time. We need to do this count. We'll see you in the morning. You know, nobody ever said go concede, but there were definitely differing opinions on if you say it was stolen or if you say we'll see you in the morning. So it's not a question. So it sounds like blank was saying say it was stolen. Response, yes. Question, and everyone else was on the other side saying, hey, no, it's too early. We have votes to count. We'll see you in the morning. Something like that. Response, yeah, something around, yes. Did the president make a decision right there in the green room? Or did you still not know until he took the stage what he was going to say? Response, no one knew until he took the stage.